AITA for having an almanac by username tossaway187. I did edit it a little bit, but long story short, the beginning of the story is sort of like he met his girlfriend at an ice cream store. It was a very cutesy thing, like, I fell in love with this mess of a girl with ice cream on her face. You get it. I wasted no time in asking her out, and we hit it off immediately. The almanac started after our first date. She mentioned she loves lilacs. The way she talked about how much she loved them, I knew I didn't want to forget that tidbit of information. So I wrote it down in one of those mini spiral notebooks. This was the almanac's genesis. Over the years, I've written down information about my wife, her favorite color, her favorite restaurants, her favorite books, movies she wants to see, basically all the little things that I knew I would forget. Fast forward to yesterday morning, I get a call from her around 11 a.m. What the fuck is the almanac? Toss away 187. She obviously has it, and I don't lie to my wife. So I tell her. She gets really quiet for maybe half a minute and then says, I always thought you remembered this stuff. Tells me she has to run and hangs up. I get home from work last night and she's really dejected. I asked her what's wrong and she says the almanac has cheapened every sweet thing I've ever done for her. She called it my playbook and said she felt betrayed. Until yesterday, I was the only person in the world to know of its existence. She also said she hasn't decided if I can have it back or not and that she's thinking about destroying it. I feel like this should be an example of how much I love her. I'm terrified she's going to burn it. I want to remember all these details and make my wife who she is. That's why I write them down. I don't chronicle these things for brownie points or status. I do it because I love my wife. I hear so many wives bitch that their husband don't remember shit, and I don't want to be that guy. So yeah, I took notes, and now I'm getting the silent treatment, or at best, single word answers. AITA here.
I think he's not the asshole. I just want to go ahead and say that. I think it's very sweet that he's doing this. I think it's very kind. He's taking notes. Like, he loves her so much that he's like, I don't want to risk forgetting anything. One thing I will think is funny is he said, I didn't do this for brownie points or status.
Status.
How are you elevating your status? Oh, I love my wife so much. My status is all the way up.
Oh, you got a boat? I got an almanac. Oh, nobody knows what that means. You know, when we say not the asshole, that means that she is being the asshole. So you're actually going to say no assholes here or not the asshole?
No, I think she's actually overreacting, and I think it's fair to call her an asshole.
Interesting. Well, get ready, because here comes Danny's comment saga. Initially, I was like you, Anthony. I saw things the same way. In fact, this thread was pretty developed when I got to it. Texas Mason had one of the top comments at the time, and he wrote, this is nuts. It's absolutely not the asshole and not no assholes here, because that would mean she's not an asshole. This guy chronicles everything that he thinks might make his wife happy, and now she's thinking about destroying it because of her insane, overly romanticized worldview. I saw Texan Mason. I upped him. I endorsed. I said, wife has, quote, memory privilege. Many, if not most people, can't recall all the little BS personal preferences about their partner. I have precisely such an almanac. It's really just a note in my phone because I'm not a psycho. Because I will never remember that my GF likes orchids or once said we should go to Nashville on a whim. And Anthony, I got over 600 upvotes.
Oh, my stars. Congratulations.
But I meditated. I thought on this and I thought, how can I see this from wifey's perspective? And I wrote another comment farther down the thread. And I said, no assholes here. Best analogy I can come up with. If some guy had a kink and his wife pretended to be super into the kink for a long time, then she breaks to him that she isn't actually into it. She just pretends to be for him. She enjoys the kink because of what it does for her partner. Nonetheless, it isn't really her thing. I think this is pretty similar to what's happening here. A fantasy that is essentially broken by the other party's lack of organic or natural behavior and instead the end result of a calculation or a strategy. It's just plain less romantic or hot. And Anthony, I got -3 upvotes.
The thing that really sold it for me is when you said it's just plain less romantic or hot, because that kind of really solidified your point and your idea to me. But I still think that she's the asshole because if a partner was faking a kink, then they would also be the asshole. Because honesty is the best policy.
I don't know.
Ooh, we're butting heads. Wow. This might be our first time butting heads.
Okay, so, but look, Anthony, like, imagine she's so into this kink and you love it. You're like, I love Amber. She's super into whatever, dressing up as a dragon.
Yeah.
And you know, you think that's your thing and you love it. Like, that's your favorite part because it's your kink. It's that thing that really gets you going. And then one day she admits that she doesn't. Like, is she really an asshole because she pretended? You loved it for years. You loved it. You loved dressing up as a dragon.
Well, I guess with kink specifically, that would actually be very sweet of them to be a giving lover, a generous lover, and do these weird things like dragon sex.
And it made it all the more better that they pretended it was their kink, right? Because part of the pleasure of sex is the mutuality of it, that you know that your partner is enjoying it too.
That's fair. So I could kind of see where she might feel cheated because in her brain, she probably has him as this Prince Charming who remembers every fucking detail, the minutia of her life.
Right.
But then that is kind of heartbreaking for her to realize that.
It's heartbreaking.
I'm going to change.
I changed you.
You had a very well thought out argument. It was great. I think no one's the asshole here.
Wow, folks, I'm so proud of that. Now, here's the kicker. I felt a lot of guilt when this happened because I was like, because Reddit's it can be a little sexist. And I thought this is a little sexist. We're basically saying like women are crazy and their crazy emotions are out of control. I'll see you at the docks, Billy. And so when I had my transformation, I expected to go back because then I saw the downvotes too. I was like, oh, everybody hates my new perspective and my little analogy. But then I went back on the subreddit and they concurred. Reddit was okay. Reddit actually went with no assholes here. Top comment by Panda's Paw writing, no assholes here. I don't think your wife is either. I think she's just in shock that part of the story she created in her head is wrong. Keep doing these little things for her she loves while the almanac is confiscated. It'll at least show you're not dependent on the book, but also tell her exactly what you said here because you did it because you never want to forget even one little thing about her. It's romantic AF and you're not even making it up.
What would she rather have? Like, does she want him to not remember anything? Or if he does it all off the top of his head, he remembers like 3 out of 1,000 things? Like, what's the better reality for her? As long as he remembers, who cares how he remembered?
Yeah, but again, it's like the kink thing, right? So going back to the kink analogy, it's like, well, what do you do after you find out that she's not into the dragons? Well, you got to find something else.
That's true.
That's really it. You got to figure out what does work.
That's fair.
No, I feel good about that. That was cool. You changed your mind, and Reddit seemingly, by my perceptions, changed its mind, even though that was probably the obvious answer. I'm an idiot.